indefensible. Oh, now what they did, convict an innocent man twice with a 16-year-old kid. Yes, we can turn away, pretending all the pieces fit. Oh, but if we turn away, we let them get away with it. Oh, they say you can trust us. Oh, but they use a match for an illusion of
Hello, everybody.
Oh, they say you can trust us. Oh, but they use the flag for an illusion of justice.
Okay, at least somebody's there. Hi, Angie. Hello, Julie. Hey, tattooed drummer. Hi, Karen.
Not the one supported by them clowns. Oh, the superhero one. She's gonna tear that house of cards down. Oh, they say you can trust us. Oh, but they use the badge for an illusion of justice. Oh, they say you can trust us. All they abuse the flag for an illusion of justice. Oh, of justice.
Hi, Allie. Hi, Travis.
We need a wrecking crew to tear this whole thing down.
So how's everybody like the meme? This one's one of my favorites, actually. Made by somebody who I've known since early on. I probably met up with the person who made this meme, and the person doesn't want me to mention their name, but I met up with this person probably maybe 4 months in, after watching him making a murder of the first one. Anyway, I love this one. This is at the On Bank review. Okay? And you hear people talk about how Ken Kratz got up to speak at the podium and stuff and that sort of stuff. Well, my friend, I guess, was watching it and saw this guy walking in with the trash cans at just the right time and screenshotted it, and the rest is history. So hello, here I am. Hello, everybody. So we're going to go real quick today because I'm pretty sure Laura said she was going to be on with Marty Tancliffe here tonight sometime. So I'm thinking if she's doing it, I don't know. If she's doing it, maybe she's going to be doing it around 7. That's the time she usually likes to upload. So anyways, so basically what I was going to talk about a little bit here is just the premiere that I just uploaded. A fair amount of you may have seen, but it has to do with Zellner's basically her expert on investigations, who is Greg McCrary, retired FBI, and just has a track record of being, just completely having absolute integrity and everything like that. So he's the expert on investigations, and in that video, I show you as we go through his affidavit that he's just pointing out things that were just missed, things that were just completely not really looked into or not nearly enough. And he, it starts with victimology. He talks about how it's really just really bad for an investigation to switch from evidence-based to suspect-based too quickly. And you heard Steve Moore say about that basically if you do that too soon, you're really creating a big problem, because once you go to a suspect-based investigation, you're not really investigating anymore. You're just proving. And I think that's where Travis will come in and tell you that that's where the confirmation bias comes in. And I believe the way he worded it when I saw him earlier was he worded it as, that's a way that Zellner can argue planting, but without actually having a smoking gun of, where we have the actual evidence of something being planted, irrefutably, proven. He's saying that with confirmation bias, it's possible to talk about planting and that sort of thing, even if you don't have the proverbial smoking gun. I'm not being paid to wear this hat. It's just given to me by somebody. Hey, T1. Hey, cozy heads. Yep, they're out there. So, the biggest problem for me, the whole thing with this, the Stephen Avery case is it's really not very easy to know what happened here. I know that what I've been presented by the state doesn't sit well with me, and I know that any avenue that looks interesting to me that I think should have been investigated was virtually ignored. And all these things together, when they accumulate together, when you just got so many things that you're looking at and just going, God, what were they thinking here? What were they thinking there? Here, there, here, there, here, there. And it continues to pile up. It doesn't happen by accident. To me, that's, it's a few mistakes or a few faux pas here and there or whatever are one thing, but the manifest amount of crap in this investigation is just staggering, to be perfectly honest. Thank you, Travis. Yeah, so it's, number one, we have the expert on investigations here telling us that this investigation was poor. You heard Steve Moore basically say the same thing. He basically, virtually the same thing. He isn't weighing in on Stephen Avery's innocence or guilt, but he is saying that the investigation was piss poor. Well, he didn't use the word piss poor, but he was saying it was poor. And he was saying that, the law enforcement, that the judges in that area allow the DAs to get away with things. And because the judges allow the DAs to get away, the DAs then allow their, law enforcement to get away with things. And just, if you just think about it, obviously they when they start breaking, when they start crossing these lines, they're doing it with the best of intentions, no doubt, right? For whatever reason, they feel like they're doing it for a good reason, like it's supposed to be for the greater good, right? And maybe it is in the beginning. But the problem is that once you take that first step over the line, the second step's easier, the third step's even easier, the fourth step's even easier, until it just goes out of control, until you have a situation like Wisconsin has right now, that the criminal justice system there is just kind of on its own little program, and like like Steve Moore was saying, it starts with the judges and what they allow the prosecutors to get away with, and then it just rolls downhill from there. I keep asking if BOD and RH cross the same social circles. Those two. Okay, so I think I've answered this before, but I do remember once hearing a claim. But whenever I remember once hearing a claim, I pretty much chalk it up as rumor. But I did hear once something about possibly Ryan used to meet with Bobby and buy weed or something like that. I don't know. Something strange like that I heard once. But like I said, I only really heard it like once. Don't know how much truth there is to it. I don't know that I don't see any real proof that they were in the same social circles, but maybe. I think it would end up playing a huge role if she gets evidentiary hearing. He has impeccable credentials. Absolutely. Greg McCrary's, yeah, and like that was another one of the Steve Moore quotes was, I know McCrary's not for sale. So basically that means we know McCrary's integrity is, beyond question. I haven't heard of any RH or BOD social connection melody. Right. Another wardrobe change. You think you are Price or something? Price or something. This shirt was sent to me by Mr. Capaldi, the Mad Scotsman over there in Scotland. He bought it. You can buy these, by the way, from Charlie Barons. Charlie Barons is a comedian on YouTube. I don't know if you guys know. He's Wisconsin based. He has this little character that he's created, Charlie Barons, who is just like this, total beer drinking Wisconsinite guy. Anyway, it's really funny. He's got a really funny channel if you guys go check it out. Anyway, this is one of the shirts that he sells. Paul bought one and sent it to me so that I could have it for videos. So this is his state. If the evidence makes sense, prove it with replication. Silence is not acceptable. Good point, Joseph. Very good point. And everyone interviewed seems just as guilty as anyone. Yeah, absolutely. I haven't heard of any. Yeah. Let's see here. Another wardrobe change. Let's see. Message to the state. Oops. Message to the state if the evidence makes sense. Right. Let's see. Jamie Hart, are you drinking again? When is he sending you an English Captain Crunch tea? He should. He's still in denial. He's still in denial that Captain Crunch is British. But anyway. I read Wrecking Crew on Sunday and I enjoyed it. Have you? Let's see. What's the deal on the sex club? How do I join? What are the dues? I know some of you are secret members. One of you has to nominate me. You don't want any part. You don't want any part of that, Travis. Come on, man. If it don't fit, you must have quit. 81 appointees. Let's see. What exactly did Judge Miller mean when he was talking about all the Avery's past crimes? Judge Willis, you mean? I honestly have always found that statement to be a little strange. He says that Avery is like the most dangerous person to ever walk into his courtroom or whatever. It's like, based on what? A sandwich and what, $8 that he stole from a bar when he was a teenager or something. Pointing a gun but not actually shooting it at somebody who had been provoking him, but still wrong, but still nobody got hurt. Then he gets wrongfully convicted of committing a rape and then exonerated of that rape. And so I have always really kind of struggled with trying to understand what the hell Judge Willis was talking about right there, personally. So I hope that's an answer. Leads to bad things, asked Kratz. Yeah, Kratz thought he was getting ready for a congressional run. But then all the sexting stuff came out, so somebody put a capper on that dream of his. See, Julie, Allie, Karen, Rebecca, Andrew, Travis, Stacy, Phoebe, Lori, and everyone I missed. I hope you're all having a blessed day. Thank you, Valerie. Was he talking about being the false rape? That's what I mean, even if he was, it's just, the comment that he makes just doesn't make sense. It sounds like he's trying to bolster his decision, like he's trying to sell it, and the fact that he would feel a need to do that is actually kind of telling, in my opinion. See, Willis is a PETA member. He and Kaczynski have cat dollies in their living room tables. So, and then there's the whole bit where he brings up where McCrary brings up the fact that Ryan was so close to her, and he was, hanging around and stuff, and showing up at her house and stuff, and the fact that he wasn't working at the time, so he had all that time on his hands, and so there's like all these things he's pointing out about Ryan, and then he's saying, because in the investigators never even bothered to take one step down the road of who was calling Teresa and harassing her, according to Tom Pierce, because they never bothered to take even one step down that road, he can't even tell whether or not that was Ryan doing that or somebody else, and it's a point of interest for Mr. McCrary. And like I've said over and over again, it's telling when you see what they are willing to investigate and how far they're willing to go to connect the dots on that, but yet they're ignoring other really obvious avenues completely. So, these are the things that eventually, made me come around to going, as hard as it may be to believe, I think this evidence looks planted. And I mean all of it. It all looks planted. The bullet and the bones are just beyond ridiculous to me. The key also, the strongest evidence against Stephen Avery is that blood in the RAV4. How did that blood get there? That is the huge question. Figuring out how that blood got there. By looking at it, I'm sure it didn't get there by an actively bleeding finger of Stephen Avery. I don't believe that's how it got there. It makes no sense if it was an actively bleeding finger, the way that blood appears in the RAV4. So there's just so many things about this case that make you just go, what is going on here? And eventually they accumulate, for me, into such a huge mountain that I just can't ignore it. And I know Falcon feels a different way. He feels that all this stuff is perfectly explainable. And I just, that's fine. We all like Falcon. He's a good guy. So, Steve McDaniel conviction in Macon, Georgia. Defense attorney said that SM's web searches, online chat about murder, and other images and gruesome dead bodies were reason to believe his guilt. I went to a suspect-driven case before they even knew if she was dead or alive. Well, that's what happened here, right? That's why they're asking. That's why that one officer is calling into dispatch saying on like the 5th, do we have Stephen Avery in custody yet? Dude, for what? What are you gonna? You don't have a proof of any kind of a crime. What are you gonna have him in custody for yet? It's like it boggles the mind. Let's see. What troubles me is why no one has come forward with what really happened. Let's see. How and why does the whole town stay so quiet that long? Well, I would imagine there's a lot of the people in the town that just aren't aware of it. And any that are, I would imagine are, I've seen more than 30 accounts, probably roughly in the area of 30 accounts of people from that area that are afraid to speak out in a way that's not favorable to their law enforcement. Food for thought. Went shopping at Destiny USA today. Let's see. I think he's talking about the Sandra Morris thing, the rape allegations, and Jody abuse allegations, the cat, who knows. Yeah, okay, the cat. I mean, okay, you could have been talking about that. But the problem is as a judge, right, Allie, though? I mean, seriously, if we think about it, though, as a judge, he shouldn't have been speaking about allegations. Allegations aren't fact. Allegations aren't proven in any kind of meaningful way. So, I mean, for him to be speaking about allegations, I just don't think it really, I don't really think it helps him. I don't think it really explains him. I just still don't think it's a sufficient excuse for him, being so biased. I still think the vile EDTA is bogus. Greeting from the Netherlands. Do you think Colburn planted the car? I kind of do, actually, yes. The cat thing bothers me most about SA. It does. As an animal lover, that does bother me. But it literally happened once when he was a dumbass kid, dumbass teenager with some other rowdy teenagers, basically, or early 20-year-olds and stuff like that. And they were being dumb and drinking and did something dumb, but there was never anything else like that from Steven. So, but it does bother me. It doesn't sit well with me. I mean, I don't like that at all. But I've also heard accounts that it wasn't actually Steven. It was actually somebody else. And Steven ended up having to take the rap for it. So, it is what it is. But even if Steven did it, he did it when he was young. It was something he did that was stupid, but he didn't ever seem to repeat it. So it would seem that he learned a lesson and regretted it, even if he did. But like I said, there's actually an account that it was not actually Steven, it was somebody else. Is anyone else annoyed how Kratz checks off argument points he makes on his notes? I don't know if I've really noticed. Whereas fingerprints on the key, I don't believe they checked for fingerprints. DNA, or was it Kratz says in that one interview, because somebody asks him about checking for prints, and he says, well, they were looking for DNA, and that's what they found. And that's like his answer. Basically, because he wants to sidestep the fact that they didn't really check for prints. Ooh, the Lynn Kaczynski trial is on Law and Crime. Oh, is it? Really? He served 18 years for it. Yeah. It was Jerry Yanda who threw the cat on the fire. See, so there you have that's the other account about who threw the cat on the fire. He has a low IQ as well, easily manipulated. I think he took the blame because he was involved to protect the one who was on probation. That would make some sense. Where did Link get the key from? I remember something in MAM 1 regarding him not signing in or something. Well, a lot of people have reasoned that there's a news interview where with, I believe it's Scott Blodorn, inside of his house, and people see what looks like a Toyota key sitting on a counter behind him. Some people are reasoning that key made it to whoever moved the RAV4. I've heard judges do unreal things when they were young. Yeah, I mean, it's true. But then they screw up really big and they get into real trouble, and then they suddenly see the error in their ways and they decide to become responsible, contributing members of society, and they become judges or whatever. So, it's the way the world's a funny place. So, Yep, he said no one checked for prints. What about the allegations of domestic abuse with SA wife? I really don't know what to say in terms of that. I don't know. I mean, couples fight. How serious the fights were, I don't know. It's just, it's hard for me to speak on that. I just don't know. But clearly it would seem Steven had a bit of a temper and stuff. But seriously, if you look at Steven's life, he's not leaving a trail of dead bodies behind him. So, nothing of Brendan. No, not one single even iota of any kind of evidence against Brendan other than the coerced confession. So if his DNA is on the key, didn't anyone ask her ex-boyfriend? If that's the case, ask her ex-boyfriend. Okay. Zellner calls Bobby the suspect. She calls Ryan the killer. So I don't believe that is true at all. Why does Zellner suspect Bobby and Scott T more so than Ryan H? I would say mainly because of the computer evidence, which allows her to introduce how Tom Fassbender was hiding the CD and that sort of stuff. And also when Bobby and Scott are the perpetrator in her scenario, explaining how the blood could get from Steven's bathroom sink into the RAV4 becomes much easier. So that's another advantageous point about, Bobby and Scott theory, is that it makes that explaining how that blood got in the RAV4 more plausible. So I think that's a reason why it's getting talked about so much, not to mention the fact that there's the whole Brady violation mixed up in with it. The fact that Tom Fassbender was hiding that CD for 12 years in his own personal custody. The way that Kratz and handed over all the information about the Dassey computer and actually called it Brendan Dassey's computer when it was actually the Dassey family computer. But so there was a lot of misleading language used in representing this computer. But besides that, they handed it all over about 3 weeks before Denny's due. Lots of people are saying, okay, yeah, that's good. That's enough time. They just didn't do it. They just didn't do their work. They just didn't do their job. So we'll see how that goes. I think lawyers working on a trial like this are pretty busy. And they probably don't want to go wasting their time looking through 500 boxes in the hopes that one of those boxes has something they can use, unless they think there's something there. And to add more to that, the state spent more money on the Avery investigation than like almost any other investigation to date at that time. And after spending all that money, they still have to play games with the evidence that they're handing over 3 weeks before Denny, so that Dean and Jerry can't get to the information that would allow them to make the prosecution's star witness, who can place Teresa Hallbach at the salvage yard, to place that testimony in question, or potentially remove that testimony altogether, depending on how it went. But if they were able to raise Bobby as a third-party suspect for Denny, then that would have been a serious problem for the prosecution. It would have knocked a leg out kind of on their case. We all know that the jury was already questioning Bobby. The jury already had issues with Bobby. We know that because they asked for all of Bobby's testimony. And then Judge Willis didn't want to give it to him and said, oh, well, what parts do you want? Well, they told you the part they wanted, Judge. They didn't ask you for the entire trial transcripts. They asked you for one person's testimony. But so that didn't end up happening. But we know by the fact that them asking means that they were already having some issues with him, potentially. So if he had been raised as a third-party suspect, I imagine he may not have even testified had Dean and Jerry been able to raise him to the level of Denny. I believe that it's possible. I've done that to keep someone from going to prison on a felony. Brendan, let's see. Arlene Jones, I think Barb's the one who tried to clean it up. Brendan, did you blow up the Twin Towers? Yeah, right. Find her house keys, find her murder. Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing is, where's her keys? Okay? Most of it, who has one key? I mean, it's just, I'm not saying it's impossible, but there is that picture of her carrying keys, and we can obviously tell that she had more than one key on that keychain. So where are they? I mean, yeah, fair question. The report describing Brendan Dassey's computer and a witness that the prosecution excused. It took 1 day to call Bobby out. It took 1 day to call Bobby about the Veely CD and 7 months to file the report. Exactly. They sat on it for like 7 or 8 months and then handed over with 3 weeks to spare. Deliberately. I mean, it just shows that that's what they're trying to do. They're deliberately trying to jam up the defense on it so that the defense wouldn't have the time. They would be busy getting ready for trial, because the trial was coming up soon. I mean, handing it over like that is dirty pool. We'll have to see what the appeals court says about it. But man, that is they were so obviously trying to fly that like under the radar, basically. But they wanted to have handed it over, but they didn't actually want Dean and Jerry to look at it. And I think that is evident in the way that they handled it. So anyway, I've missed it somewhere, but did you ever say 100% that the bones were THs or just female bones? I can only answer this question in this way. The FBI, according to their mitochondrial DNA test, say that the flesh on that one shin bone, they were able to do mitochondrial DNA, and they say it comes back to Teresa Halbach. So, short answer, I guess, to your question is yes. They have been identified as Teresa's. Hulk smash the like button. Yes, Hulk smash. Ask Ryan how he knew things he shouldn't have known before anyone else knew, and find the killer, right? Why don't you tell us you blew them up? I couldn't think of it. Just so we're clear, String and Buting did get Fassbender's report. We're in the content. Yes, it was very much whitewashed, though. I mean, and they got it, but it was in a stack of, what was it? Like 36 other DCI reports. I mean, it was in a stack of like 36 other DCI reports. And the report is really whitewashed. It doesn't really describe the type of things that are really on that drive and that CD. It alludes to things, but it's very much whitewashed. Allie, let's see. Okay, battery is dying out. Oh, see you later, Greg. We're not String and Buting aware that everyone in the house, including Bobby, had access to the computer. Advocates for the SA prosecution on judicial fairness. If you're not cheating, you're not winning. But there are also more human bone which makes them think serial. Nor does it list times or searches. You need to connect with Brian Mueller on here to discuss bow theory, like bow and arrow. Just another dirty trick by the prosecutor. That's the way I feel about it. What's up, Joseph? Let's see. I thought flesh matched blood in the RAV, but they couldn't rule out they aren't hers. Like they wouldn't say yes or no. I don't know. I'm not sure what you mean. The blood in the RAV4 was ID'd as Teresa Halbach's. The flesh on the shin bone was identified by the FBI through a mitochondrial DNA test. I thought Fassbender's report specifically mentioned the violent porn imagery, etc., but not very specifically. Actually, not very specifically, and that's why I mean by whitewashed. I guess they have access in the same way I have access to my son's computer in his room, but if I was to use it when I'm the only one home, it would be obvious who was the one using it. Yes, that would be true. T1, why are you talking about it too? Why are you talking about it too? I'm not sure what that is. Okay. It would be getting 1,000 case reports at once and picking one page to call them out on. Yeah, I mean, like I said, it was buried in I think the number was like 36 other DCI reports that it was, and even that pile of reports was part of the biggest batch of discovery that the prosecution sent over. It took them 8 months to send over this mountain of discovery, basically 3 weeks before Denny's due, 7 weeks before trial. And among these things is the Fassbender report, buried in with about 36 other DCI reports, and talks about Brendan's computer and not the Dassey computer. It's just they very deliberately tried to misrepresent the things. Falcon sees it as explainable. He thinks it's perfectly fine. I have no qualms with that. He's entitled to see it the way he sees it. But I happen to see it as the prosecution was perverting justice. That's the way I feel about it. That's the way I see it. And, they conveniently left that part out of the Fassbender report. That's what I said. I think Bobby stopped her and Scott shot her. Hi all. Better late than never. Hi Ziggy. I was talking about the bow Bobby was using that night. I figured. Right. So bow. Right. You are being transparent. That's issue. All had access, but only one had access to times on the 31st. Right. Okay, let's see here. What CD? The DVDs could not even be opened without using FTK program, Forensic Toolkit. The CD was lost until 2017. Okay, I think I see what so, okay. Yes, what CD in the sense that it wasn't even there, right? But what Falcon was saying is that he mentions he mentions what was on the drive, and I think he might have even I don't know if there's a mention of the CD in it or not, but that's what he was talking about. So yeah, I get it. What CD? It's not around. It's not there. And then as far as the DVD goes, I've never heard about this FTK program, but I have heard that it would have required a program called Encase, and that some people say that it's easy to use, but I don't know how computer savvy Dean and Jerry would have been. So I don't know how easy to use it would have really been. They would have had to bring in an expert, in my opinion, to go through it, and as quickly as Veely did. I mean, think about it. Veely took 16 days to go to do his thing with that. And did the prosecution hand that stuff over then? No. They waited 8 months until 3 weeks before Denny, and then they handed it over. Because the crossbows definitely had caused that blood spatter. Just got Wrecking Crew on Audible. Forget the porn. It's impeachment to BOD saying he was asleep from 6. Yeah, it impeaches his testimony. Yeah, there you go. Forget about that and just concentrate on the fact that it's proving his own story wrong. And then begs the question, why is he lying? I do see some signs that an arrow may have been used and even caused the damage to the light assembly and bumper. You wouldn't hurt. Let's see. Field tip and razor tips are different wound looks. Something most definitely punctured the bumper and was pulled back. You can see that in the pics. There are many different types of bows. Their star witness, Bobby, was protected from child porn charges. If in fact there was child porn on there, yeah, the state, I believe, has a big question to answer there. Big something to answer for there, in my opinion. But lead tips are the thing. I first started archery with a longbow, then took Native American, then like what the Native Americans used, and took down buffalo. Also has info on arrow theory. I agree, Ali, that damage is not from collision. Whoever was mad at her arguing and pulled the tire iron and hit the light with anger, and when she spazzed out, she was next. Could be. The pornography included both heterosexual, homosexual, and bestiality. There were images depicting bondage as well as other torture and pain. But does it mention Falcon? Does it mention? Well, anyways, I get it. I get how you feel, Falcon. Does the killer tips the cops off to check for bones in the salvage yard? Don't know. Not sure. If Bobby was going bow hunting, how do they know she wasn't hit with an arrow? I guess the easiest answer to that question would be because they weren't looking for her to have been hit by an arrow. I guess. I don't think even Zellner thinks that, personally. I think Zellner believes that the beveling on the skull fragment or whatever, that beveling around the hole, I think she's starting to think that that's from a hammer. A target tip, but not a hunting broadhead. I'm not sure if state expert was asked to determine approximate caliber. Here's a what if. What if Kratz is actually as stupid as he seems? What if they used his personality ego against him to feed him misinformation? It'd explain why he believes what he's selling. Could be. Broadhead tip doesn't leave small hole, as the anthropologist said, was the size of the deformation of the skull. On a computer that Bobby was known to have access to. Is it just me, or does Teresa brother come across as a bad crisis actor? Why didn't Avery lawyers call any witnesses? Avery's lawyers did call witnesses, but everybody's always had issues with Mike Halbach. I've explained why I basically, I'll talk about the couple things about Michael that bother me on occasion, but every time I sat down to do the video, I talked myself out of it because here on my channel, it's about respecting victims' families, and even though I don't really care much for Mike, I have a lot of respect for his sister. Let's see. I wonder when all this is done, will Bobby go on trial? I'm not sure if they're going to be able to seek. I don't know. If this all goes bad for them, I don't know that they're going to be able to seek prosecution on anybody else, because by their own poor investigation, where they basically only sought to incriminate Avery, they didn't collect anything else that would help them figure out who actually did it. If it was actually somebody besides Avery, they don't have any way of finding out. If it's Bobby, it comes down to a matter of, is this enough evidence for them to convict Bobby? Maybe. You have to see what they decide to do when the time comes. Let's see, impeachment evidence is Brady. Do you believe that the Dassies even had an internet back in 2005? That was all blamed on Brendan. That is the problem. If it was attributed to Bobby, it would have been used to show motive, right? If they offered Kratz that out, maybe he'd flip. Maybe. The fix-a-flat thought is great. Now I need that image. Just bought Wrecking Crew. Awesome. Brian Mueller. You and JB need to connect on Hangouts or FB to discuss your info on Arrow Theory. We'll have to talk more about the Arrow Theory, and you guys are talking about it right now in chat, but when I'm going live, I can't really sit and critically think about the Arrow Theory at the moment. Let's see. Thanks whoever said it was on there. Been waiting. I sent Zellner a very detailed email about it. I think it could be valid and could be verified if she checks the tire. Arrow tips are also metal, and field tips are possible. Okay. Is the RAV being seized on the third and decoy RAV a valid theory? I have done a couple videos about the mysterious color changing of the RAV4. Mainly I did them just because it was something that was getting talked about a lot, and I just wanted to kind of look at it more. Basically, my feeling about it is that with that kind of paint, I think it's possible that different lighting in different situations could possibly make the RAV4 appear to be a little slightly different color. But here is the problem I do have. And this is in those videos. My issue is that if the RAV4 was known to do this, to be like green in one kind of light and blue in another kind of light, when they were creating the flyer when Teresa was missing, why were they only putting green on there? Right? Here's my, roll with me for a second. Your friend's just gone missing. You're meeting up with their family. You guys are creating a flyer and you're trying to give a description about her because you're hoping that people will find her. Right? Because you're hoping that people will look out for the things that you're going to put in the flyer, and that they will hopefully catch somebody's attention and get your loved one found quicker. Hopefully. Right? Why are they only, so am I supposed to believe then that none of Teresa's friends ever noticed that her car looked like slightly blue in certain kinds of light? And because if they did, wouldn't they have wanted to be putting that on the flyer? You know, oh, sometimes the car looks like teal, right? That's just the way I feel about it. So it seems odd to me that nobody ever mentions the fact that the color does look turquoise or teal in certain lights. But yeah. Sorry, I just want to check something out here, folks. Okay. See, no one gets how arrogant Kratz really is. Once he had Stephen Avery, he didn't want to go back. Yeah. I'm rolling, brother. Let's roll together. That's not slightly blue. That's bright in your face blue. I was looking at the RAV theory, but not color differences. There is info about how it was towed, and the way it was placed in the police evidence lot is not possible for it to have been towed that way. Interesting. At the most, they fixed the car and painted it, if that. Avery's lawyers didn't call any proper witnesses, no experts to dispute many of the critical questions. A good prosecutor knows the law. A great prosecutor knows the judge, right? Also, my car is a Fusion. The color is guard, like security guard color. Some call it green. In the sun, they say gray. At night, the guy said the car will look black. That's how colors switch up. So, like I said, there is color changing paint nowadays. So, one same FB group as I posted before. Let him know if he hasn't joined and look for my theory. Yeah, you know what? JB or T1, post the link for his Facebook group in Cozy Heads for me, please. Is the dealer logo mentioned in flyer? Can read flyer close enough with copy I have. I'm not sure if it mentioned that. I don't think it did. Brennan is guilty of a bad story, no proof at all. That is what. Hey, I love the way that Steve Moore put it. He said they had a nice story. The color isn't a problem. The color is in the eye. I have a long list of problems. And there is the documentation. They seized her property, a RAV on the 3rd. Exactly. They were reporting Stephen to the FBI as a murder suspect on the 3rd. They didn't even have supposedly it didn't even have the RAV4 yet, but they're reporting Stephen as a murder suspect. I don't work on cars, but for what I've read, it's pretty elementary that the RAV wouldn't have been able to be towed the way they said in court. They also have timing of and there was also a I think something like a 26-minute window or something where they stopped on the side of the road on the way to the crime lab, and there's 26 minutes where the car was just sitting in one place on the way to the crime lab. So that was another fishy thing. My car is dark blue but looks black at night, may reflect green at night as well. Teresa's car is one color, completely ignore the edited one for trial, and they all match perfectly, but still doesn't explain why it was called green by the family. Elementary for someone who works on cars. If the flyer was done by her male friends, they might not have been good with color differences. Well, a lot of her female friends were there, though. I know that. Looks like I missed something. Sorry I'm late. If you think the car looks green in the pic with Teresa, you're looking at the edited version for trial. Look at the original version that is actually blue. Teal was too much of a sophisticated color for this town. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, those are some of the issues there. I mean, like I said, for a while I thought that the RAV4 might have been switched out, but I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about that really anymore. I mean, there is reports of another car like the RAV4 that had like a driver's window broken out and windshield broken out on it. There was just a lot of weird reports, and it just got a little strange. So I ended up doing a couple videos about the color changing of the RAV4 and that sort of stuff. Anyways, there is a whole area called vision science that deals with differences in human color perception. How many times have you used that at trial, Travis? Not sure which group, since I joined a few MAM groups, but you might know since we chatted in at least one you are in. Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, I think I've seen you around, Brian. So, you know my group, Brian? MAM, talk about the case. If you want, hit me up there. You can also go, there's also an Erekose MAM Facebook page. It's public. Anybody can get on it, like it. If you like it, you'll get notifications from it. I generally post most everything that I'm doing there, for those that want to keep up with me and talk to me there. Let's see here. Just the way the RAV was placed upon opposite direction of the other cars, and yeah, it stuck out like a sore thumb. Absolutely. What got me was the missing pane above the driver's side passenger door. Passenger door isn't missing in the evidence photos. What is your opinion on the judges who read Brendan's case and ruled against his release? And do you think the Supreme Court will ever see the case? No, the Supreme Court denied it, so the Supreme Court will not be looking at Brendan's case, unfortunately. As far as the en-banc review goes, yeah, I've made it pretty clear how I feel about that. I think it's bogus. I think they're cowards hiding behind AEDPA, and I don't understand why. And then you add to that they actually lie in their majority decision. They actually lie and say that the control question proves Brendan was resisting, which I think I've explained enough times for everybody. We all know why that's an out and out lie. You can't take an instance where Brendan buckles and acquiesces to the investigators and try to say that that's proof of him resisting. Doesn't work. Okay, cool, Brian. We'll see you there, buddy. Thank you, Julie. When I knew tap dancing just wasn't going to cut it. That's funny. Could the killer have kept Teresa's film or SD card from her camera as a memento and developed after burning? I don't know. I basically don't know because I don't really know what happened to that SD card, so I can't really say. What color was the RAV when Sturm found it? seeing as you guys brought up Sturm. Oh, but wait. See if I can do this. I was going to put something up here, but I don't know if I can.
We've been out here in the Manitowoc County area for a couple of days and done a lot of things.
Found some things?
Found some things. County area for I have this really couple of days and done a lot of things. Feeling of divinity.
Found some things?
Found some things. County area for I have this really couple of days and done a lot of things. Feeling of divinity.
Found some things?
Found some things. Your car keys. I have your hat. Or your virginity.
Or your RAV4.
Someone's going to always find it for you. I'm not quite sure why I feel that. Or your virginity. Sense of it.
Or your RAV4.
Someone's going to always find it that I'm closer to God. I'm not quite sure why I feel that. Just or your virginity. Sense of it.
Or your RAV4. Indeed, you know, it's
not quite sure why I feel that.
You feel more in tune here somehow. Or your RAV4. Just didn't have to waste time if you were looking at
not quite sure why I feel that.
You feel more in tune here somehow. Or your RAV4. Just didn't have to waste time if you were looking at
not quite sure why I feel that.
You feel more in tune here somehow. Or your RAV4. Just didn't have to waste time if you were looking at
not quite sure why.
All right, Echo should be gone now. All right, good. Okay, hold on a second. LLL. LLL. Yeah, you want to explain to me what you're talking about? I'm like, I have no clue what that means. Is this the right car? What car? What do you mean? What do you mean before you go and lie about it? What do you mean? I'm a little lost on that one. I don't know. That laugh, I love it. It gives me such satisfaction when he laughs. You're welcome. You know. Let's see here. Weird how we started an echo and the audio is doing that. That's too bad. The video is absolutely hilarious. I'll have to upload it. I'll have to upload it just by itself. I'll do that after I'm done here. I'll just upload it by itself. Had a dealer make the key from the VIN. Yep. If there's nothing to hide, hand over the RAV. Yeah, I agree. Oh, yeah, I forgot to switch back to me. There you go. Hello. Hi. I did see that hole in the handle. That is interesting. I've never heard this before. What makes you think she may have been... Tyson, you're asking was she a waitress at Sapphire's in Calumet County? I don't know of anybody who was a waitress there, so I don't know the answer to your question. As far as I know, Teresa had a love of photography, and that's what she did. see, his hair was a fresh fade. It was actually. I got my hair cut right before I went to Wisconsin, so good call. He's talking about Teresa. I googled arrowheads. One is flat that goes as wide as 1 inch from tip to the bottom. Sapphire sounds like a gentleman's club name. That's true. That's what I'm asking. When did they get it? Was it before or after that footage? The driver door was unlocked when the evidence tech at the Wisconsin Crime Lab received it in the morning. When and where was the key made by the investigators, and who unlocked the RAV? Yeah, that is a good question, because they were pretty resolute about the fact that the RAV4 was locked at the salvage yard. They were very clear about that. They all said it was locked. Yes. Hi, Linda. I think that's in my notes somewhat. There are hundreds of styles. It must have been everyone's first day on the job. That's funny. Okay, don't get lost by that. Somebody was asking if Teresa worked at a place called Sapphires as a waitress. Somebody else thought that the name Sapphires sounded like a gentleman's club and made a joke. So the gentleman's club thing is just a joke. But somebody was seriously asking, did Teresa work as a waitress at a place at a restaurant called Sapphires? Towing evidence and chain of custody problems. Yep. Willed it open with her faith. Pam must have prayed for the RAV4 to be unlocked. Ooh, excuse me. I was asking if you were confirming that Teresa was a waitress. Your comment looked like you knew she was. I've never heard of this. Laura, yes, that is documented. She on one side, daughter on the other. Keep her moving. For you guys to see this shirt, this is the shirt that Charlie Behrens had made. And what he did is he went down to the state capitol and he basically decided he wanted to reinvent the Wisconsin flag. So up here where the Wisconsin flag normally says forward, he decided to put his slogan of keep her moving. And then he decided to replace the like revolutionary looking dudes with a tailgate, with a guy and a chick at a tailgate party. You got the little barbecue and the ice, the ice chest over here, right? So anyway, so he kind of had a little fun redesigning the shirt. And so this is by Charlie Behrens, and it is funny. It's a great shirt. What number Dr. Pepper are you on? Since I got home, number 2. Blue Sapphires actually is a gentleman's club. Okay, well, shut my mouth. Blue Sapphires is a gentleman's club. Do you think the video Teresa made before she died was a little strange? Nah, I don't. I really kind of don't. Because I now know that what that video was it originally started out as a college class project. And she did it for the college class project, but then she kind of liked it. And so she kind of kept going with it. And she kind of was making kind of video entries into her, this, kind of video diary of hers. And so when I think about it that way, where it was like her diary, but instead of writing it, she was recording it on a camera, which makes sense because she loved photography so much, right? So when I think of it in those terms, no, it doesn't seem all that strange to me. Thank you about the shirt. Yeah, what was the bit about sapphires in the documentary? It's in Calumet County, and yes, it's very strange. If the key from the dealer was made after the footage in MAM, it would suggest they had a key available, especially since they said it was locked at the salvage yard. What makes you think she has ever worked there? Remember, TH was in communications degrees, so this video was probably part of that. Just wondering what exposed her to taking nude photos. Probably when she realized she could probably make some good money at it, I imagine. Just wondering what exposed her to taking, let's see, the Sapphire Club here is a swingers club. Let's see. Well, Tom Pierce also took boudoir photos. Yeah, I mean, I imagine that's what they do to kind of help them stay afloat. Is you do some sexy shoots like that, where you're able to charge a little more money, and you know, it's just like vlogging before it went viral and people started changing it up. A lot has changed since 2005 in the tech world. Probably illegal, but they didn't care. Someone could have kept the memory card. Most killers do as a trophy. Gotta run. Thanks for your thoughts. Yep. We'll see you later there, Sarah. Boudoir. Erekose, love this live chat. Keep up the great work. Thank you so much, Jen. Enjoy listening to all your YouTube videos and keeping up to date with what's going on. Thank you so much, Jen. So I'm going to go ahead and shut off now. I got to imagine if Laura's getting ready to go on with Marty, she's going to probably be doing it very soon. So I'm going to get out of the way, because if she goes on with Marty, I don't want any of you to miss it. Okay? Marty Tankliff, I think, is a very interesting guy. I've been following him on Twitter for a little while. And so, you know, I think there's going to be some good information there if she gets that on. So I don't want to be stepping on that. I'm going to go ahead and say toodaloo, folks, for now. You can definitely expect to see me. I'm going to put together another premiere of another of the affidavits, another of the Zellner affidavits that were filed in her original 1,200-page motion. I'm going to go ahead and find another one right now and get that prepared for an upload so that there will be at least a premiere tomorrow. I don't know that I'll go live tomorrow, because obviously we know that Laura is going to go live, right? So we'll leave that. We'll leave that for her to go live tomorrow, because that's the day she likes. So I'll definitely, though, schedule a premiere for before her. I'm going to schedule it around 5, about the same time it was today, roughly. So maybe an hour sooner. So they shared the studio. Yep. High school daughter wrote a horrifying one. Yeah. Hey Brian. Oh, Brian, you need a link, dude. Here, let me get you a link. Okay, that what I just posted right there, that's a closed Facebook group that that you can reach me in. And then I will show you, I'll give you the link to my actual page. And this is the actual Erekose MAM Facebook page. It's an actual page, so it's open to public. All you have to do is go on the page, like the page, and then you'll get notifications from it. I generally put everything there first, and then I share it from my page into other Facebook groups. So if you really want to be at the place where it all happens, you want to go to the page, my Facebook page, Erekose MAM Facebook page. Here's the link. Okay. So there you go, Brian. And then, like I said, the second link there, that's my actual Facebook page. That's public. Anybody can go there, like it, and then you'll get notifications. Like I said, so the Hangout is open to whoever wants to be in there. If whoever wants to join the Hangout is welcome to be in there. Except you got to talk to Amber. Amber's the one. She's the one that has to add you, because it's hers. Oh yeah, I'll upload that video first. Yeah. Let me do that. I'll upload that video real quick. I can probably do that while I'm on the call with everybody. So anyways, okay, so I'll get to it. Thank you for tuning in, everybody. Hope everybody got a chance to watch the affidavit of Greg McCrary. If you didn't get to watch it yet, and you just caught me live here, go back and watch it. It was a premiere that I put out right before I went live here. So go back and watch that. It's interesting stuff about just how poor this investigation was. And I think it's interesting to point that out. So anyways, I'm going to upload the Pam Stern video real quick. It's just a short one. I'm going to upload that real quick. And then I'm going to be working on a premiere for tomorrow. Another one of the expert affidavits filed in Zellner's original motion. So Pam Sturm on the Sturm Road video first, and then I'm going to work on the other. So if you haven't already, please hit subscribe, and we'll see ya.